Okay, so I'm glad we're here to learn from Dr. Ehler, and if you're ready to learn, stand. Not quite ready to learn? All right, place your hands right here on your abdomen. Thank you for joining us on this. Appreciate that you're ready to learn too. Okay, so sometimes when we eat food that's a little bit harsh, jalapenos, I like spicy food. Who likes spicy food? Yeah. You took your hand off. Oh, that's what Simon says, right? So we kind of sometimes get that urgy kind of feeling in our guts, you know, after eating the wrong foods. Kind of feel splucky. It's kind of a cool word, splucky. When I feel splucky, I say, oh my. So I'm going to teach you guys a word. Splekniets, oh my. Let's say it together.
Splekniets, oh my.
Put it all together. Splekniets, oh my.
Splekniets, oh my.
Okay, this is a Greek word, right? I think Dr. Ehler knows this one. So the root of the word splekniets, oh my, one of the interpretations in English is the word passion. That's one interpretation. The whole word is compassion. So, splekniets, say it again.
Splekniets
is compassion. Okay? So if you've learned, you can sit, otherwise stand. So this word is defined as to be moved as to one's bowels, hence to be moved with compassion. Have compassion. And the reason this was thought to be that way is because in Jesus' time, that's thought to be the seat of pity and love right there. Movement. You're moved with compassion. Last winter, for about 5 or 6 months, my family had been going to the Bremerton Rescue Mission. It does a lot of things, but primarily once a week it feeds homeless folks. So we would go there and we'd serve food, and we had an encounter, well, a number of encounters with a lot of really interesting, colorful, and good people. One gentleman in particular, Kevin Denny is his name. We'd seen him a couple times, and after eating and we were cleaning up, he wanted to share something with us, so he pulled Shelley and I aside. And he proceeded to tell us the story about how he had become really excited because it was really getting cold. This is about that December, November time frame when it just was freezing out. And a lady had offered to have him come and stay on her couch as long as she would offset the cost of, he would offset cost of food with the food stamps that he's given from the state. And so he said, okay, stayed there for a few days, and he gave her the food stamps when he got them. She went out, shopped, and brought all the food home, and then kicked him out. And it was one of the coldest days in the year. And he was just broke up. This was maybe 2 days after this happened, and it was literally frozen outside, and it was so moving. Shelley and I talked about it a lot. We both had a lot of that compassion feeling in that moment. We cried, we prayed. We didn't do anything. Okay, we felt the compassion. I mean, it was massively difficult to hear that story. Thoughts go through my mind. We have a spare room. We could take the guy home. I mean, I got money in the bank. I could put him up in a hotel. We even talked about it. We should have done that, but we didn't. We felt that passion for his situation, compassion, right? We didn't do anything. Jesus also felt compassion. Talks about it a lot. That's how I got the Greek word, right? Looked it up. Matthew chapter 9, verse 36, 37, and 38. When he saw the crowd, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful. You know the rest of the words? Workers are few. Pray that the Lord of the harvest sends out workers in the field, right? So when he was moved with compassion, he took advantage to teach, like a lot of us are called to do. That's just one thing. Another way he taught about compassion and what to do about compassion when you feel it is through parables. The first one that pops into my head is about the Samaritan. One of the interpretations that is used, the word pity is used because the Samaritan took pity on the Jewish man who had been robbed. We all know the story, right? Who doesn't know the story? Okay, good. The Good Samaritan. We've been hearing it since we were kids. So this guy, the Samaritan, had no reason to help this guy out. He was a Jew. They didn't like each other. Sure, they weren't at war, but they had a lot of history, right? Lots and lots of history. So there was no reason at all for him to help. He actually went against the grain publicly. He did it boldly, and it wasn't who he was supposed to be. But he felt that compassion, and he acted. Felt compassion and acted. The prodigal, right? Prodigal son, prodigal father, depending on how you look at it, right? But when the son was coming up the road, and the father saw him, he was moved with compassion, and he threw all aside, every moray there was. You're not supposed to run. He was a rich guy. He was esteemed in the community, right? He was supposed to be proper. He didn't care. He threw down and he was going. He went to town and he grabbed his son and he embraced him publicly and he welcomed him back. There was all kinds of things that should have held him back from doing this. What would the neighbors think about him accepting this guy who was obviously a drugger, obviously a sinner, back into his house? But he did it. He felt the compassion and he acted. So Jesus showed what we could do. And then Jesus also did the same when he felt compassion. Matthew 14:14. This is when he's crossing the Sea of Galilee and he lands and he sees a large crowd and he has compassion on them and he heals them. He heals the sick. Mark 6:34. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. This is Mark's version of the same passage that I just read. So he began to teach them. Matthew 20:34. Jesus had compassion. What's the word? Splachnizomai. Remember, splachnizomai. Okay. Jesus had compassion on them. 20:34. Jesus is interacting with a couple of folks who were blind. And he said, "What do you want?" They said, "We want to see." And he felt compassion. So he touched them and he healed them. Bottom line here is Jesus saying, when you feel compassion, take action. Take action. What stops us from that? What stopped me? Fear. Fear stopped me. When you have opportunities to teach, there's a couple folks in here who do teach. Have you been faced with somebody who's confessed something that's going on in their lives? Something that's tough, and you have that compassion. Is that awkward? Do you not know what to say? I see some head shaking. Yeah, it's awkward. And what about some of the ministering that you've been doing? I know a couple of you have been out in the community, and there's somebody who's sick, maybe dying. Maybe there's that one person who's holding it all together, being there for siblings, being there for kids, being there for the other parent, maybe if the parent's in that situation. You feel that compassion, but you don't know what to do. You can see it on the person's face. They're breaking. My main point here is that when we feel compassion, we need to act. I practiced this a little bit with some other folks, and one of the things they said is that we need to, we're always compassionate. We do compassionate acts all the time. I'm not talking about empathy. I'm talking about the moments that God inspires you to do something right then. Not who you are all the time, but to respond to the Spirit moving inside of you. Feel compassion, take action. So my challenge is pray for strength to overcome the fear. And when there's something stirring inside of you, even if it's right now, this week, I want you to respond without reservation. Don't hold back from doing what God has put on your heart.